May I ask for one final thing? Is a pretty funny fantasy show with a really entertaining OP female lead named Scarlett L. Van Diemen. The show starts out and she's engaged to the second prince, Kyle von Palestan, who calls off their engagement to leave her for a different chick, and her response is to punch her in the face. And that's kind of her whole character, is that she just wants to punch people in the face. And it's interesting because I feel like Girl Boss does apply to her, but the way that this show does it actually makes it work in a really fun way. It's a fantasy world and there's magic. Her magic allows her to manipulate time, and it seems like it can enhance her strength, or maybe that's just a side effect of the time manipulation. But essentially, she really hates corruption and she's very into justice, and because her father was a duke, she believes in the nobles having a lot of responsibilities and needing to behave properly. After spending her entire young life engaged to a douchebag who was pretty verbally abusive and really treated her like shit, once she's free of those shackles, she pursues it in her own manner, which is just finding excuses to punch bad people. And it seems like she's going to end up being with the older brother, Julius, because he's kind of an odd character, but he's also very competent and actually got better grades than her when it came to their magic courses and that sort of thing. It's not clear to me how powerful he is yet, but he also wants to weed out the corruption in the nobility, obviously as the crown prince, and he seems to be into her, even though he really likes messing with her. And the show actually does some pretty clever things, but something that's really neat, and I haven't seen this far in the story yet, is that the girl that replaced her to be engaged to Kyle, Taraneza Hopkins, it gets revealed a few episodes in that she's actually reincarnated from Japan. So you get kind of a reverse isekai deal where she thinks that Scarlet is like kind of her final boss to defeat. And Scarlet is like, who is this evil bitch just poisoning people all around the royalty? Which is a really fun way to tell a story. But part of the reason I think this works, even though normally I would be pretty critical of girl boss horse shit, is that because there's magic, she can be powerful without being physically overwhelming. Of course, she uses her magic to be physically overwhelming because she's kind of a brute. But she's still also very feminine. And to me, this is probably what the girl boss self-insert fantasy should be, or at least more in this vein, because she does help free slaves. She's putting an end to corruption. She's beating up muggers and thieves. She's not just being a bitch to be a bitch. And really, I don't even think she's that bitchy. She's almost kind of like a renegade shepherd if you've played Mass Effect, where she's super hard on her enemies, but then very sweet and nurturing to the people around her. Well, at least most of them. She likes to kind of obfuscate responsibility and let her brother deal with the cleanup of her messes. But I think that contrast is also kind of what makes it funny, is that she is attractive, but she still wears these very flowery, poofy dresses and dresses like a noble and speaks like a noble. But then the things that she does are very kind of overgrown gorilla. And I think it's a good thing, too, that the characters in the show are critical of her behavior. It's not like she's just running rampant and everyone's supporting it. They're like, well, we like the results, but you really need to kind of mind how you behave because you shouldn't just go around pummeling people. The dynamic between her, Julius, and her brother is really amusing, too. Her brother's always like, oh my God, please stop causing trouble. Like he's trying to maintain the PR side of it while she's just kind of like rogue. And then Julius is always taunting her and messing with her. So I think this show does a good job of maintaining kind of a playfulness between her and Julius and her brother, but also she is dealing with serious things like corruption, like people being exploited and sold off as slaves. And I think the thing that separates this from a lot of Western media is that the show very much allows her to be a woman who is strong instead of trying to make her pretend to be a man. Like I already mentioned how she dresses and how she carries herself. You get really nice moments where she's taking care of someone who is a victim, and she does seem very older sisterly or motherly or whatever you want to say. I think she does end up with Prince Julius is kind of funny because it does reinforce that as strong as she is, she still would end up with a guy who's above her in status since he's a prince and she's a duke or duchess, I guess. And strength-wise, we know that he at least got higher scores on her in magic in school, even though we don't know if he's stronger now. So it's nice that those two have a pretty fun dynamic of kind of the straight man and the weirdo, where you don't really know what his deal is, and he's always teasing her. There's a part where it seems like he's going to propose, and then he doesn't, which is hilarious. And this also allows for you to have the fun of seeing him get jealous when other guys hit on her because she is pretty, even though she kicks a bunch of people's asses. And it is hilarious to watch her reject guys over and over who are too persistent by just punching them in the face, which I'm sure many real life women wish they had that luxury, especially if a guy is hounding them, not just for asking them out. But it's a super fun show. I think it's been one of the most entertaining of this season, which is fall of 2025. I would definitely recommend it. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got a little bit of that shoujo feel with the pretty female main character getting hit on by a bunch of dudes. They're all nobility, they're all high status, but she herself is a badass, even though it's not portrayed super seriously. And she's enacting justice and just beating people up. I think the comedy works really well because of the contrast in personalities. I think the world itself is really cool, and having the idea of a reverse isekai that thinks they're the protagonist be your antagonist is a really neat way to tell a story. I'm curious to see where that goes. So if you're looking for a show to watch, definitely check it out. I've been having a lot of fun with this one, but I don't want to keep going, and I don't really want to get into the details. I think you should just go watch it yourself. I'm going to leave it there for this one. If you've seen it, let me know what you think. Try to respond to comments that aren't just insults. Like and subscribe and all that shit. Thanks. See ya.